All right, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. This is from X22 Reports, and it talks about Flynn, General Flynn again, and the leaks that were purposely done illegally but purposely done and illegal. Listen to this.
Mueller's report stated that Flynn was being probed as part of the FBI's Russia's investigation before his calls to Kislyak. However,
Probe before his investigation. So Obama, whoever he gave in charge of this, whoever he told to do it, FBI, whoever, was doing this before the election and before he was put in charge of what he was done. And somehow they caught him in some lying trap or some con job, but it was illegal. And they inadvertently forget to mention that that leak was illegal. Spying on him, it was just illegal. And this has been going on for a long, long time. It's just these guys got, finally, after all these years, we're holding them accountable for this crap. This foolishness, it's a legal procedure.
it is unclear why. Previously, the FBI had opened the investigation of Flynn based on his relationship with the Russian government. Flynn's contacts with Kislyak became a key component of that investigation. Remember, we talked about Flynn. Flynn knows everything. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows what happened.
Now, this is key. Flynn has been a top military intelligence officer, both for the military, NSA, and other groups. He knows about their involvement in all this. They wanted him out of the picture right from the get-go before he ever did anything with Trump. They partially accomplished this, and they partially have not, because he still has the information, still has access to the information, and believe me, Trump told him and the military to get that information out, and as president, they're going to do it, and this is going to come back and bite these guys in the butt, to say the least.
And this is why they went after Flynn. I mean, he can talk to the Russians. There's no harm in that. But they knew they needed to get him out of the way. Remember, he was never charged with collusion. He was just charged with lying. And how did they get that information? Could have been that they were spying on him illegally, listening into his conversations, and asked him a question, and he lied about it, which they should have never known about. And then again,
this is the point. They illegally spied on him. They should have never known about this stuff. They purposely set him up in an early meeting. They lied about their illegal activity. They didn't even mention or bring it up. They previously had the goods on him. They purposely asked specific questions to catch him in lying, and they did catch him lying or doing something that wasn't true, exactly true as far as an answer. But they never got him on any illegal activity. So this was all a setup. And I don't think he was politically astute enough. Didn't even have lawyers with him, didn't even have other defense with him. I just think politically he was not prepared for the espionage that was going on, unfortunately. Or maybe he was. Maybe it's going to come back and bite them in the butt. I don't know. But we're finding out, and we're going to find out, all this stuff is going to be laid out on the table. And then legally they're going to have to do something with these people that set Flynn and others up, including Obama, with all this illegal activity, leaking, questioning, other stuff that was done. No counsel was there or anything. So again, this was all a setup.
Again, those individuals questioning him never said he lied. They lied later to say that he did lie.
Now, that's an interesting statement. These individuals questioning him never said that he lied, but they said that they lied later. So again, they're twisting the words to get him in a lie. And this is just a form of illegal entrapment, and they need to be called on their illegal activity.
But in a footnote, Mueller's report cited FBI 302s taken by former Director James Comey and former Justice Department official Mary McCord. It says, previously, the FBI had opened an investigation of Flynn based on his relationship with the Russian government. And this was McCord, who, this is in the footnotes, on 7/17/2017, 302 at 23 Comey, 11/15/17, 302 at 5. So in May of 2018, the House Intel Committee revealed in a newly unredacted portion of its report that there were a CI investigation into General Michael Flynn prior to his phone calls to Russian Ambassador Kislyak.
So was this through the CIA? I believe it was. Again, you're going to find the CIA involvement in this part of this coercion, part of the illegal activity. The CIA needs to be put in their place. There's too many things going on against citizens of this country that should not be going on, and the CIA needs to be hamstrung and put in their place, period.
Comey's testimony. However, the reason for it was unclear. Mueller's report didn't even mention the illegal leak or wanting to get to the bottom of who illegally leaked Flynn's phone calls to the media. Comey.
Again, this is where the partiality and the political bias is evident, and this is just part of it. They didn't want to get to the legality of the leaks on this and who was doing it and what was done. They just wanted to make it appear like something was illegal was going on when they were actually doing the illegal activity themselves. Again, this is covert lying, it's espionage, it's illegal activity through the CIA and other groups. Whoever it is, it's illegal to do this without the proper forms and proper documentation. And they didn't have proper documentation. They just did it without proper authority or documentation. It was a setup with Flynn. You can bet on it. They're going to wreck his career, wreck his finances. Remember, he battled things. He sold his house. He used all of his money to fight this, and they got him. And they stripped this guy of his reputation, his other stuff. The military people know that this was an incredible leader and incredible intelligence and support. And they didn't care if they ruined this guy's reputation or his life or his finances or anything else. They were out to destroy Trump, and they didn't care who got wasted in the process. And as a matter of fact, it was done so they could waste Flynn in the process and get him out of the way because he was a threat to them and the games that they had already played illegally. And this is what needs to come out. This type of activity must be stopped, totally illegal, and it needs to be stopped and never happen again. Hopefully, it won't, but we'll see what goes on as this stuff comes out and who's charged with what. But believe me, if it's done right, this stuff will come out. There will be charges. These people will be charged. They will be given sentences, and justice will be done. We're hoping that's what's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, so we'll see.
He testified that 4 individuals connected to Trump were under FBI counterintelligence investigation in the summer of 2016, dubbed Crossfire Hurricane.
So they're saying the FBI did this. I don't know if it's just the FBI or other individuals as well. Who knows where the source of these tasks were? Was it just the FBI or was it other? Regardless, it was done illegally.
Hurricane. When Congressman Mark Meadows asked ex-FBI lawyer James Baker in a closed-door testimony in October of 2018 if multiple Trump associates, besides Carter Page, were targeted with FISA warrants, he refused to answer. But thanks to Devin Nunes, we will soon have more answers on the FISA abuses and which one of Trump's associates were being spied on with FISA warrants. Now, in the Mueller report, it says that the intelligence agencies concluded that the DNC server was hacked by the Russians. But there's a problem with this. Bill Binney states that the NSA has 32 pages of communications between Seth Rich and Julian Assange. The NSA has confirmed that it has top secret and secret documents responsive to a Freedom of Information Act request for information concerning contact between Seth Rich and other people, including Julian Assange.
So the NSA has documents saying otherwise, 32 pages of this. And believe me, Flynn had access to the NSA information. All this is going to come out. It's just a matter of time.
Now, Bill Binney offered clarification on this issue in a brief interview with Ed Butowski. Here's what Binney says. Ty Clevenger has the Freedom of Information Act information from NSA asking for any data that involved both Seth Rich and also Julian Assange. And they responded by saying, we've got 15 files, 32 pages, but they're all classified in accordance with Executive Order 13526 covering classification, and therefore you can't have them. That says that NSA has records of communication between Seth Rich and Julian Assange. I mean, that's the only business that the NSA is in, copying communications between people and devices. So Bill Binney is saying that, yes, all of this means that Julian Assange was in contact with Seth Rich and that the DNC was not hacked by Russia. Now, I interviewed Harley Schlanger and Bill Binney on the X22 Report Spotlight on April 6th, and he explained how and why the Russians did not hack the DNC server and that it was an inside job. Take a listen to the two parts that I cut out in our interview on the X22 Report.
So he interviewed these individuals, and they say that this was an inside job and it had nothing to do with the Russians, and this was all with the Democrats and an inside job, and Seth Rich. And is this why Seth Rich ended up dead, shot in the back of the head? Could easily be. Could easily be. They didn't want that information out. That's how dangerous it was. The NSA had copied that information, had it, and if it has to, it's going to be brought out that this was the reason that he was killed, and they didn't want this information out.
Port Spotlight.
NSA has moderate confidence that the Russians hacked. Now, that was in the ICA. The CIA and FBI had high confidence, and NSA only had moderate. Now, what that tells you, first of all, the only one that matters in that deal is NSA. FBI and CIA don't have anywhere the capabilities that NSA does. So NSA is the one looking at all these networks. And if any packets were transferred from the DNC to anywhere in the world, they would have at least one packet. And that's all they need to know where it came from and where it went. You know? So the point is, if NSA had those packets, they would have absolute confidence on who hacked and who did and where it went. And you know, when they did it and how much they got. So it's not a question of not knowing. The fact that they didn't know said they didn't have packets, said that the hack did not occur. That was my initial impression back in August of 2016, and that's what I was saying at the time.
This is back in August 2016 that he says that. He said the FBI didn't have any more authority than the NSA did. Matter of fact, they're saying just the opposite. The NSA had more authority and more information, exacting information. That's their job, is to catch all this information, where it's going, know its source, where it's going, so forth. That's their job. And they have a greater priority and efficiency at this than the FBI does.
And so we immediately, back in July of 2017, we sent out an initial note from VIPs, the Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, saying, you know, the rates of transfer told us that this was not a hack. It did not go across the Atlantic, and so on. And we had a number of individuals inside the VIPs who thought, well, it could be. They still believed it could go at that rate. That's because they were looking at their local networks where you could have a very high-speed transfer like gigabit lines. You could easily transfer that data for short distances. But you don't have a gigabit line across the Atlantic to Europe and all that. So that's where it falls down. And so we said, okay, if you believe that, we're going to try and test it. So we did. We tested it from Albania, Serbia, the Netherlands, and the UK to see the transfer rates. And the highest we got for that were from between data centers in New Jersey and London. And that was 12 megabytes per second. That's less than 1/4 the necessary transfer rate that we already calculated from the files that Gooser 2 had put on the web. So that told us that was not a hack. But all those the speeds coming down for those files all matched with a thumb drive on a computer. That was all compatible with that.
And as you can see, It is completely impossible from the analysis that Binney has done for the Russians to have hacked the DNC server. And if you'd like to hear more on that interview, you can go to the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel and listen to the entire interview.
So it was impossible for the Russians to hack the DNC server. That's what this NSA professional is saying. Simple and complete. Here's a problem with what's coming out. Mueller report looks bad for Obama, which makes me wonder if Obama hasn't really been arrested, as the one individual said, and is leaking information out of what's actually going on.
Of what is coming, because they know once the D class hits, guess what? All the fingers will be pointing to who? Obama, his administration. And they know what's coming, so they're trying to get ahead of the entire story that's going to be coming out. Now, since the Mueller report has come out, we have not really heard from Obama. Dinesh D'Souza tweeted out the following: Obama is totally silent these days. Is he planning his escape from the country if all these deep state conspiracy are traced back to him? And Trump tweeted out, and he hit really hard against the mainstream media with a couple of tweets here. The fake news media is doing everything possible to stir up and anger the polls, and as many people as possible, seldom mentioning the fact that the Mueller report had as its principal conclusion the fact that there was no collusion with Russia. The Russia hoax is dead. The Washington Post and the New York Times are, in my opinion, two of the most dishonest media outlets around, truly the enemy of the people.
Wow. But it gives me credence, I believe, to the statement that Obama may already have been arrested and charged and arrested. We can't verify this from independent sources. There's only one that it claimed that he has, and it can't be verified from other sources. So I don't know if it's done or not, but it's amazing that he's been silent with his ego. He may have other people posting false stuff, but he may be arrested. I hope so, but we'll find out in time. These illegal leaks and the media and how this really got started, who pushed it and who gave it out, this is central to this because of the leaks that have been going on illegally through the media. They should be charged with their illegal activity.
We see the IG report on how this fraudulent investigation got started. Take a listen to what Gates says.
Not off the hook, Jesse. One of the other little nuggets that the Inspector General is working on is the corruption that existed between the media and members of the FBI, right. Where members of the mainstream media were giving concert passes and athletic tickets and other incentives to people in the FBI to leak to them. So we'll be seeing that even before we see the Inspector General's report on how this fraudulent...
So the media was bribing FBI agents with these things for information. This stuff should all be brought out. This is illegal coercion and illegal activity for information that they shouldn't have a right to.
Investigation began, and I think it really informs on what is so wrong here in Washington, where people can tell lies and then the mainstream media will carry them into millions of living rooms around the country without doing the type of fact-finding that Sarah Carter does and that really illuminated a lot of the abuses that have been laid bare for the American people.
Sarah, you did a great job, but now that...
So this fact-finding stuff that really should be done is not being done. They're just bribing and bringing lies out with no facts behind it. That is propaganda. That's illegal, and they should be called on it. Here's another disturbing fact. When Mueller and his reports are citing the media as sources, when they could be lying with their sources and the stuff that they have, this is another illegal activity.
The media was doing the bribing. It was the FBI that was receiving the incentives, and so then you wonder, were people in the FBI giving truthful information, not truthful information? And then you have those very media reports cited in the Mueller report, as if they're the gospel when they clearly are not.
All right.
That's it.
All right, Congressman Sarah, thank you guys very much. Happy...
This is the problem with this. Not accurate reporting leaks, and it may be total lies, but they're spreading it as the gospel truth, not doing honest reporting. This is another major problem.
Now, I want to bring us back to post 2928. This is March 3rd, 2019. And it says, D-Class will destroy their last stand. Schumer, Pelosi, that's in kill brackets in bold. FISA will be the start and prepare public for Huber. And it's in the kill brackets, but the turn the opposite.
Now, this is important. These FISA reports will prepare the public for the Huber reports. So, evidently, we get the D-Class, the FISA reports before we get the Huber reports. That's interesting, and especially if that's how it ends up being played out. And that's their game plan.
Opposite way. FISA equals start. FISA equals immediate confirmation of illegal acts, RE signers. FISA equals immediate confirmation start of Hussein spy campaign to rig an election was based on false info. FISA equals implicates Clinton, D Party as feeders of false info with the intent of securing mainstream media blast insurance. FISA implicates senior members of the UK, MI5, 6, SIS, US Intel, White House, Five Eye, our party, Congress, Senate of known corruption in
Republican Party as well. Congress and Senate in the Republican Party. On corruption efforts to retain power and rig election.
An effort to retain power and rig election, plus safeguard events by political kill to act while in power, given mainstream media fake push Russia narrative. FISA equals ties, mainstream media heads, TV behind corp, to D Party, other foreign heads of state in cooperation strategy. FISA brings down the House. D-Class by POTUS, key parts that factually demonstrate the dirty fake dossier was used as primary source to secure highest level of intel spying on primary Republican opponent, post-election intel assets for domestic spying on the President of the United States for the office of the presidency of the United States of America. Logical thinking, public awareness equals FISA spying, foundation built Huber. As you can see, FISA is going to bring down everything and expose the mainstream media. And this goes back to what Gates is saying, that the report that's coming out is going to link all of this together. Now we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Adam Schiff, Brennan Nadler, Maxine Waters, and many others, and they're pushing for impeachment. They need the obstruction charge to push the impeachment propaganda. But there's one problem. The Senate was the key. Let's go to post 3028. Was the impeachment threat real? Talking points to satisfy loony left. Sheep do not think for themselves. Base. Talking points meant to project outrage across America, using fake news blowhorn to justify fake investigation and take in donor support. Impeachment requires facts. Impeachment requires 2/3 vote of the Senate. Propaganda arm of the D Party, fake news is losing control of the narrative. The truth will always win. And we can see from former U.S. Attorney Andrew McCarthy that Trump's impeachment is not going to happen. You cannot charge Trump with obstructing justice for exercising his presidential powers. So a study by the conservative group Media Research Center found that impeachment was referenced on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC more than 300 times in the first 18 hours after the report was released, with CNN alone accounting for 148 times. Impeachment would have to focus on alleged obstruction. Since Mueller did not find evidence of collusion, it is certainly true that you can obstruct an investigation that did not find a crime, but it is a difficult case to make. The report does not establish a compelling criminal case for it. Indeed, Mueller explaining why he failed to come to a conclusion on it is one of the most unsupported and unconvincing parts of this report. The reason for the failure, however, could be as important as the element. The report is a mess on intent with an array of intents to choose from. Mueller found substantial evidence that Trump wanted to limit the scope of the investigation, but that is not necessarily intent. None of this produces a compelling case of prosecution, even when any non-criminal motivation or intent is acknowledged. Even the best grounds for obstructive intent with Trump seeking to fire Mueller, an order ignored by White House counsel, was justified by Trump as based on his fear of a conflict of interest. Since Mueller was not fired, we cannot know if Trump would have tried to block any new special counsel, but Trump ultimately did not stop the investigation. He allowed the investigation to go on, and he didn't do anything. And you can't prove that he did anything because he didn't do anything. Like any
So this is why Trump didn't fire him, because this is going to come back and bite him in the butt. I'm going to end it here. You can watch the whole thing. But this is going to come out, and the FISA reports are going to start coming out next, according to Q and other individuals. So this really should heat up things before the elections in this coming year and fall. We'll see what happens. We've got less than a year and a half, and we'll see what happens for the fall of 2020 and the November elections. Good day.